Okay, so if you just watched the little Eureka Tower video I did, this is my last full day in Melbourne, so I thought I would take a more leisurely stroll back to class, back to school, in the city and record it for everyone to see. You can see the Yara up close. Along with the city skyline, the pedestrian bridge is down below.
What? I just need to get away.
And this is Swanston Street. A little music for the walk. And no more music for the walk now.
I'm wearing a shirt.
And coming up now is the Flinders Street station, what used to be by far the largest train station in pretty much all of Australia, and now it's just the main downtown train station. Here's a view of the South Bank, which we've just walked away from. The tall one is the Eureka Tower, tallest tower in the southern hemisphere. At least for the time being, that is. Across what is probably one of the busiest streets in Melbourne, you can see the Federation Square. The clicking is the Pac-Man noise announcing that you can cross the streets. A view of some of the trams, which many of the modern trams have full advertisements on their bodies. Train station's looking a little dead at this time of day, but most of the people have probably gone home. Still some of the signs for the Australian Open up and about. Here's Young and Jackson's coming up ahead. A very famous, what used to be a hotel is now a 3-story bar that has some very good drinks. Went there on Australia Day and had a little sampling, free sampling that they were doing. It also has a very famous naked picture inside of it. Painting, picture, whatever. Some of the city cathedrals. And this is Flinders Street. I have to look towards, it eventually goes to the Parliament building, but Burke actually leads right to it. The view down the other side. Here's the famous Flinders Street station. And now we get the Pac-Man. Looks like a little bit of a dark sky coming in the distance. Some more of the Grand Cathedral. The towers are a different color from the cathedral itself because they were added on, I believe it was roughly 20 some odd years after the completion of the cathedral itself. That statue is in commemoration of Captain Matthew Flinders, one of the, I believe, one of the founders of Melbourne, exploring the Port Phillip Bay. Oddly enough, with Port Phillip Bay, they actually discovered the Western Bay first, and they named that one, believing that that one was the most western bay of Melbourne at the time, or of Victoria at the time, and then they discovered Port Phillip Bay. And it's kind of hard to name a port Western Westport, so they just gave it a completely different name. There's a little open square area where they do a lot of street performances and the like. Flinders Lane. That's where our travel agent is. She's a decent travel agent. Let's hope she doesn't watch this video now. You will see taxis, I swear, probably almost as often as you will see non-taxi cars in the city. And there are a lot of pedestrians who like to go out and drink and heavily and wine and dine a lot, so it keeps the taxi companies well funded. Here you can see the town hall, where they do a lot of the immigration ceremonies for people who become naturalized Australians in the state of Victoria. And that is a statue commemorating Robert O'Hara Burke and William John Wills. Who would like to be named Will Wills? They're one of the major explorers of Australian history who traveled all the way up to the Valley of Carpentaria, but died on their way back. This is Collins Street, by the way. There's a lot of theaters and art exhibits on Collins Street. But as I was saying, Australians tend to love to celebrate their failures just as much as their successes. So they named an entire street here Burke Street, and then also Little Burke Street. And they built this statue to commemorate them. Here's another view of the town hall. Swanston Street is probably, I would say, probably the most central street for the city. I mean, streets like Burke and Flinders and Collins are also major hubs of commerce and art, but I think Swanston kind of beats them all in its centralized location and the number of street performers it gets. Here's a very eco-friendly tower. I'm not sure what this street's name is. I'm gonna try and catch it. Oh, that was Little Collins Street, of course. I always go about the main street and then the little street if you're walking north through the city.